This is episode 6 in my Summer Headspace series. This is a chance to revisit episodes from the previous school year during the summer months when you may have a little extra time. You can look for these throughout the summer with new podcast episodes beginning on August 22nd. So in these Summer Headspace episodes, I revisit episodes by theme, and you'll find the episode links right here in the show notes to this episode. Today I'm going to look back at episode 30, where I talked with Alison Weinhold about using music in the language classroom, and then episode 31 with Sarah Moghtader, who spoke with me about picture and movie talks and how to use those with students in your language classroom. These two episodes together provide really actionable and useful suggestions for engaging with the target language in your classroom. So let's jump in. Are you a language teacher looking for some reassurance that what you're doing in the classroom is on the right track? Or maybe you're looking for some ways to teach even more effectively? If you're one or the other or somewhere in between, you've landed in the right place. This is the World Language Classroom Podcast with your host, me, Joshua Cabral. You're about to get tips, tools, and resources so that your students continue to rise in proficiency and communicate with confidence. Let's jump in. Vamos, allons-y. Hello, my friends. Bonjour, mes amis. Hola, mis amigos. Welcome to the World Language Classroom Podcast. I am Joshua Cabral, and thank you, as always, for taking the time out of your week to listen to these episodes, particularly one of these Summer Headspace episodes, if you are, in fact, listening to this over the summer. Now, I know that some teachers are actually going back to school in some areas of the U.S. really soon, maybe even next week. So if that's the case, have a great school year. Hope you're prepped and ready for it. And if you have a couple of more weeks, hope you have some time to enjoy that, kind of decompress, relax just a little bit more, getting ready to go into the school year. And you might have some time to listen to a couple of these Summer Headspace episodes as we go through. So real quickly, I always like to have you look down at that app that you're listening to this on, if you're on some sort of device like an iPhone or a smartphone or Android, and just make sure that you are liking or following or subscribing, whatever the app is asking you to do, to make sure that you get every single one of these episodes when they come out on Mondays. So in this episode, I want to look back at two episodes that really look at how we can engage students really actively in the classroom in different modes. So the first one I want to look at is episode 30. And in this episode, I spoke with Alison Weinhold all about using music in the language classroom. Now, she's a sort of national presenter. I see her all over the place presenting on different topics with culture and music in the classroom, a lot of places virtually over the last 2 years, since we have an opportunity to really involve ourselves with teachers in conferences all over the place because it didn't require travel. So I had an opportunity to really see what she has to offer teachers, and it is really incredible. And so I wanted to get her on the podcast to talk about this topic of music. So when it comes to music, she specifically speaks about the value of using music in the language classroom, sort of beyond it's just a good song, it's fun, it's something you can dance to, and maybe you like the themes, but it's more than just a song, and using music has so many possibilities. And she really talks about that flexibility of using music. And she speaks about this idea of what she calls her quick wins, which are some things you can do with music and with a particular song. But then she really does a great job of talking about how you can use music to look at culture and engage in culture and understand culture better, and how representation of different people and different cultures can be done through music and through songs. Then, of course, I had to ask her where she finds her music to use in her own classroom, because teachers are always wondering where we can do that. You can sort of say go to YouTube, but where are other places that teachers are sharing out? And she gives us some ideas of different websites and different blogs where you can get access to not just the videos and songs, but activities and ideas of what to do with them and to engage with the music. And so I really like my episodes to be very actionable for teachers, particularly when I'm having a conversation with a classroom teacher and I can find out exactly what they're doing in the classroom. And so I wanted to have Alison talk us through like an entire lesson of a song. What did she do with that song? So it's this whole idea of, okay, I have a song. Now what do I do? How do you prepare in advance for it so students can understand it? So does that involve some sort of vocabulary review or presentation? So what do you do before? What are students doing during the song to engage with it and to assess their understanding? And then when they're done, what do you do after the fact? So yes, great, we worked with this song, but what are some follow-up activities that you can do after? So that was episode 30. And then in episode 31, another way of engaging with the language is with this idea of movie talk and picture talk. So I spoke with Sarah Moghtader, and she talks us through this comprehensible input practice, the CI practice of movie or picture talk. And she begins by telling us exactly what they are. So you may have heard this term, maybe you've seen people try it out, but you can really hear her description of it and the benefits of it, where it comes from and why teachers are doing it, and why it is a particularly useful technique in a classroom that is focused on comprehensible input and that approach to language teaching and the benefits of it. And so it's kind of based on some of the work of Stephen Krashen, where if you listen to last week's episode, I did a recap of Stephen Krashen's input hypothesis. So that kind of comes along with this. And so Sarah then walks us through the procedures and techniques of actually doing a picture talk or a movie talk with students and seeing where the language comes from, how it develops, how they understand the story. Really useful. This is actually, as I mentioned, one of the most downloaded episodes that I did all of last year. So definitely listen to it. So then, just like I asked Alison in the previous episode where she finds her music, I also asked Sarah, where do we find books? You know, what makes a useful story, book, or movie clip, and where can we find those resources? So she definitely gives us some opportunities in there. And just like Alison talked about, okay, we did this song, what do we do after? Sarah also gives us some extension activities after a movie or picture talk of what you can continue to do in different modes with the story once you have it. So be sure to listen to those two episodes so you can see some different ways of really engaging with the language. And they complement each other because the movie and picture talks tend to be very much about comprehensible input. And the same thing happens with a song, you know, with the lyrics. So you're really using comprehensible input in different ways and looking at culture in different ways. So those two episodes really complement each other quite well. So in the show notes, you'll see the links to episode 30, Music with Alison Weinhold, and episode 31, Movie and Picture Talks with Sarah Moghtader, so you can listen to them right here. There are also links to get in touch with me if you'd like to work together, either in person in your school or remotely during the upcoming school year. So look for more Summer Headspace episodes over the next couple of weeks, and then new podcast episodes beginning on August 22nd. Okay, enjoy the rest of your summer, or have a great start to the school year if you're starting next week or in the next couple of weeks. I will talk to you soon. Bye for now. You've been listening to the World Language Classroom podcast. Be sure to follow or subscribe wherever you're listening so you don't miss a single episode. Let's continue the conversation on Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram at WL Classroom. You can also see over 250 blog posts about language teaching at, you guessed it, WLClassroom.com.